Well, hello everybody and welcome back into the gardens on a glorious sort of WestMan sunny kind of Sunday, and really good time right now to, well, just show you how things are doing. Kind of the usual. I figured we'd start with the berries this year, or this week, I should say, and then I'd show you a new gift I recently received, maybe get a little feedback from y'all on how best to take care of that, and yeah, we'll see where it goes from there. So, starting with the berries. So here we are at the red currant, where this year we've actually got a couple of them that are showing a little bit of color. Kind of hard to get them on the camera. Glare is being, well, it's just a lot of fun today. We did end up with this sort of webbing on them again, and the birds did rob us blind, but nowhere near as bad on these red currants as they did on, say, the honeyberries and the hascaps. So we should still get, oh, I don't know, I'm thinking maybe a sandwich baggie out of this, as long as they don't take too many more on us. I'm sure a lot of them have been knocked off in the winds and the torrential rains that we've had lately too, but this is a wonderfully productive bush. Very much recommend red currants to anybody who's looking to add something really low maintenance to their permaculture collection. Yeah. Oh, got another one coming off down there. No signs of roots yet in the air layering thing on any of the three that I've tried, so getting on time to try that fourth one, which is going to be with the honeyberries. So I guess we'll go check them next. So the good news, bad news situation with the honeyberries here, right? Like, we definitely got some wonderful growth this year, and I saw just loads of berries on here. However, the waxwings discovered these bushes this year, and to the best of my knowledge, have absolutely picked them clean. I've seen a couple that started to get a little bit of color, but I guess they really like them in that green stage, because both this polar jewel and that Borealis hascap, not a berry to be seen. Nice growth on them this year though, so you know, I'll take that. I was kind of joking with shocks though. It's a perfect reason to start keeping bees, because at least then we'd get a little bit of the pollen, we'd get some honey from that, and even if the birds do rob all our fruit, we get the honey as we rob the bees. So it's a circle of theft, isn't it? That's terrible, but that's gardening. So yeah, you know what's looking nice though is the gooseberry over there. Getting some nice size to some of these berries this year. They're not going that purple yet, but they are definitely full and juicy. So if I wanted them in this more tart stage, this would be a great time to get them. Luckily, the birds and the winds haven't done too much damage, and there are quite a few fruit still hanging on here, so that is absolutely wonderful. It's a very interesting sort of berry. Again, this is a very low maintenance kind of bush. Very much set it and forget it. It's not just low maintenance, it's low in its environment too. It never really gets too tall. From what I understand, this should peak out at about 4 feet tall, 4 feet around. So not too much of a commitment. Kind of hoping to put another one here, but we'll see. Got to get some of these air layering experiments to work first, don't I? And then here we've got the smoky Saskatoon over by the chicken coop. Another air layering experiment we're kind of waiting on. Not a lot of fruit produced on this year. And yeah, the wild birds are very aware of what a Saskatoon berry is, so not the best chance of getting much of a harvest off it, even if it did have a bumper crop. But still nice to see it growing out, and eventually, like with everything else, right, I'll air layer out more of them, and there'll be enough that the birds can get their fill, and we can too. It's a process. I'll get there one day. I got years, which is good. I'll need them. And then I guess before we look at the garden, I'll show you, creaky door, the new garden toy that I received. Well, new to me anyway. A, because I've never had or even operated a tiller before, and yeah, and B, well, it's now ours. This is not a loan. Apparently it works just fine. I need to get some crank case oil and new muffler, but I got some gas for it. I was hoping to fire it up today, but the hardware co-op, well, isn't open, so couldn't get that crankcase oil, and it says right on it to always make sure it's full every time, and I checked it and it's dry, so not really an option. But it's going to be really interesting to rip up some new garden beds with this and just see what we can grow in the next couple of years, because as those spruce trees come down, I've got more and more opportunity to garden, and that looks nice and wide. So, you know, that should be what, one run up the carrot patch, maybe turn it around, do it twice, beat those weeds up real good. Now, if you watch the farm channel, you probably recognize that I've got some mixed feelings on tillage, and it's kind of, I don't know, weird to me to be thinking about tilling up the garden patches, because I'm kind of against it in large patches of like farmland and stuff because of what it does to soil biology. But I'm thinking if I do it right and don't do it too deep and don't do it too often, it's actually a good opportunity for me to put carbon into the soil and feed some of those plants. I mean, yeah, it's going to be bringing up new weed plants, but those ultimately are going to be kind of part of my cover cropping program, which I think I'll go through in a different video just because people like things shortened to the point. So yeah, I'll make that its own video. But I think I figured out a way to get cover crops on my garden in Manitoba, sorta, kinda, but only because I've got the tiller. So yeah, I guess when you're doing it shallow like I'm going to be doing, it's called cultivation. I don't know, let me know in the comments below, and we can babble about that for a bit. But let's check out the gardens that I've been doing kind of our no-till and just forking and deep mulching and stuff with, because they are doing surprisingly well this year, even for the distinct lack of peppers in them, which is killing me. So hot dang, look at that tater pile, eh? It's got a lot going on. I've been bunkering it in with more lawn clippings as I go, and I had a few of them that kind of leaned over in the storm, so I thought for some variation I would kind of bury them like you do with tomato vines, and because they'll take out roots, and maybe get even more potatoes out of them by laying them down as compared to hilling up. I'm also going to try that with its own bed next year. Two separate potato beds, might do two separate experiments, but this idea seems to work. So I want to work forward from here, make it work better, right? Like, it's all about getting more productive in less square feet if possible. Not like we really need to worry about that here, but it is nice to, I don't know, keep things neat, compact. Got a few different places where flowers are starting to pop up. One of my neighbors is already harvesting some of his taters, but they've gone to flower. He got them in a little bit earlier, good start on it, and he just has a phenomenal garden in general, so I'm kind of not too surprised, but I'm very hopeful. I mean, this looks good to me. Really tall. I mean, look, if I was going to try and hill that up, I would need a whole lot of hay, so I don't know. It's kind of why I'm thinking laying them down might be the way to go. Now turning to look at the corn patch. Look at this sweet corn, doing pretty good. I mean, I'm not sure that I have grown corn stalks that have looked this sturdy in any of my previous trials here on this property. I'm not saying they're the nicest corn in town, because they're certainly not, but I am pretty darn pleased and very excited. And I've also noticed in some of the other gardens in town, others do grow just a single row of corn, and they have very productive gardens. So I'm guessing their years of trials and tests say that this isn't as crazy as it feels. So we'll just have to see. Up front here, the spaghetti squash starting to bush up nicely. It would be nice to see some flowers on there, get some bee activity going on. Pollinate us some squash. I do love a spaghetti squash in the fall. So filling. Then we got the beans here. I honestly don't remember if these are yellow or green beans, so it'll be nice to see something happen there so I can find out for sure. And then in the back we've got the sugar pie pumpkins. Oh my, oh my. I do love the sugar pie pumpkins. So sweet and so convenient. Like I say, they're just the right size. If you roast one of them off in the oven, you're pretty much good to go for a pumpkin pie or a couple of harvest loaves, or, you know, it's not too much that you're stuck figuring out how to store it. Not too bad. Finally got the thistle away from this one here, so a little stunted, but not too bad. Pretty pleased with this one here. Spreading out nice and wide, absorbing lots of sunshine. Can't decide if that's pale or that's just the corn. Might be time to water this. The grass mulch is definitely helping though to keep the water in there from all the rains that we've got. So that is good. And the only other thing really on the grow this year is the tomato patch here, where again I've taken another 5-gallon pail of thistles out of here, and you can barely tell. But a lot of these plants are actually starting to look pretty decent. I've got flowers on this one here that I'm still like 99% sure that's a broad ripple cherry tomato, one of the ones I got from Rob Bob. So most of the rest of these though are Cherokee purples and those, I want to say celebrity hybrids. They might be big boys. Can't quite remember what I got, but a few of these are looking pretty nice. Now I don't have enough tomato cages to deal with all of these plants, so kind of not sure if I'm just going to let them flop or if I'm going to get stakes in them. I've got some rabbit caging material that I was thinking about maybe making quick circular towers, but that's not really going to leave much room to try and harvest things through or for them to grow through, so not feeling too solid about that. I'll figure something out though. It's only just the beginning of July, and really for my garden, southwest Manitoba, not bad. I mean, these tomatoes could be better, but we all know I really kind of neglected and abused them, ignored them, and yet here they are. Good hardy plant. So it's going to be nice to see what happens in the coming years. Now that I know tomatoes are okay with being grown in the same location, and I pick a part of the bed to actually make a dedicated tomato bed. Apparently they grow well with onions, so I'm going to move some of those perennial onions forward to add to the ones we've got here and just kind of add that boost. I am really liking the whole companion gardening thing, so that and this mulching, I tell you, we mowed the vast majority of our half-acre yesterday, a little sore today, but all of it has ended up in various parts of the garden. I mean, most of it ended up in those potatoes, and you can't really tell. Like I say, there's just so much green growth coming up there. But here's another one of the corners. Unfortunately, the tomato that was here died, but it looks like the parsley has taken the opportunity, so that's nice. I did sprinkle parsley seeds around the base of all the tomatoes that form the frame for this bed, and that's pretty much the only bit of it that I can see right now. But again, it's just the beginning of July, so there's still so much more time to come. Fantastic. And then this here, that's currently a patch of lawn, is where the next patch is going to go once I get that tiller up and running. So that's going to be interesting. Kind of walk away from the garden like this. What I kind of want to do is 2 broad garden patches on either side with a pathway in the middle, like all my other little pathways. It kind of goes right to the center of the tomato bed. Then another broad one over here. Just kind of expand this sectional garden. It's strange and it doesn't fit in the neighborhood, but I like it, so I'm going with it. And I've got a few reasons that we'll get into in other videos, but it's hot out here, so I think I'm probably heading inside. I am loving this variation on the Three Sisters garden though. This has definitely been the most successful for me, and again, something that will probably get explored more completely in future videos. And yeah, on that note, it's warm out here. I'm going to head inside, get myself a nice cold cup of sweet tea, and edit this up so I can share it with y'all up on the YouTubes. Please be sure to remember to click like, and if you've still gotten to this point and you're not subscribed, you might as well click that one too. This pretty much sums up the content on my channel, me babbling about strange things, usually garden related. Yeah, feel free to share it and yada yada blah blah blah. As always, much love everybody, and I will see you next time, because there's probably something coming up before next Sunday at this rate, because yeah, like I'm gonna have that tiller and not fiddle with it, right? So yeah, I'll probably see you soon in some sort of garden tiller cultivator related video. Yeah, much love everybody.